But we will start with Chris Sky. Does anyone know, like, why Chris Sky? Had we figured that out yet? Did he wanted to sound cool? Was that it? Or did it, like, I don't know, does, like, Sakosha sound too, like, ethnic, and he wanted to, like, I don't know, English it up? Sky Homes is his dad's business. Oh, okay.
I was going to suggest that he couldn't pronounce his own last name, and so that's what he went with.
I mean, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly or not.
Fair, but
oh yeah, I gotta. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he can't pronounce his own name. This guy's pretty special. Oh hey, we got Nick in the chat, right? I can't remember. Part-time Viking, right? I don't know if he can hear us. He's in the chat. He did pay for the privilege to be in this chat. He just hasn't been for a while.
Well, he is a part-time Viking.
Yeah.
He's also a part-time participator in these.
That's right. I should be sharing it with you all now. Also, people in the chat, let me know if you can hear it, because I don't know. I had to adjust the audio a lot after Wednesday. We did a show with Wednesday, and I had to mess with the volume. So hopefully you can hear it. And here we go. Prepare.
Warning. Censorship. Warning. Censorship.
You don't need a mask. The mask is about compliance, because they know Canadians like to do what they're told. So if they tell you have to wear a mask, next they're going to tell you have to contact trace. Then they're going to tell you have to take the vaccine. And because Canadians like to do what they're told, they're hoping that everyone just complies. And then guess what, kids? Once you take your vaccine, like a dumb person that doesn't know any better, they're going to tell you, sorry, the vaccine isn't as effective as we thought it was going to be.
So, how do you feel about this person already?
Checks out. I can clearly tell. Very scientifically oriented. And it just seems like someone who knows exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I love that the dude holding the mic isn't looking at him when he's talking.
Yeah.
Isn't is almost entirely turned away and just kind of has to turn his head and arm to give him the mic. Like, that is...
Yeah, why not just hand him the
reporting.
mic? Like, I don't even think he says much throughout this whole segment. I mean, Chris Sky is someone who likes to just, like, yell and whatnot. I know, ironic, Andrew says. But yeah, this is Andrew Chapados, who, again, has his Andrew Says segment now on the Rebel. But, I guess we're still waiting for Part-Time Viking for his microphone to kick in. But yeah, he's given this on the street interview to Viking Man, or not Viking Man, or almost Viking Man. All these people with their Nordic mythology. I mean, look at him. It's like he's like just in it to like be this like bodybuilder, like a big guy. I think like when they initially started like doing protests back in April, he was showing up with like a cadre of like women from like his gym or something like that. And I honestly felt, and that was back when like no one was attending these. I mean, like, I've seen way bigger numbers at like union protests that I've been to. Like, they don't get like that large of numbers, but back then it was like 10, maybe 15 people at most, and it would just be him walking around with these like ladies as if to be like, look, being anti-mask is cool, yo. But, yeah, anyways.
Are they revisiting a protest from September then? Sorry?
No, this is from current. Like, Chris Guy has just now, like, made a name for himself and goes on all these, like, talks now and has been fined a whole bunch of times. Like, we're going to get into it. He's going to mention all the various things he's been fined and give people bad advice about what to do if you get fined. But, no, this is from this past weekend, which was warm. It was warm last weekend, so hence why everyone looks
top left.
Holy! Why are they showing this now?
Yeah.
I pulled this from his thing thinking that this was recent, but it doesn't matter if it's recent or not. They posted it on their thing as if this was recent, but nothing. Here's the funny thing is, I've watched enough Chris Sky clips now that like I've heard what he has to say, and so nothing he says present day has changed from this, which is like even more concerning. You would think like their information would update, but he's been saying the same thing over and over again. And it's funny too because he's gonna get into like some vaccine predictions here, and then I guess like so. The even title here is "Pandemic Predictions" from Chris Sky. So my guess is what they're trying to do is like look at these predictions that Chris Sky made, and maybe they're trying to make the extra conclusion that like it's coming true. And I guarantee you, most of what he predicts here is not going to come true. You know, or if it is going to happen, it's not going to happen the way that he says that it's going to happen. If that makes sense.
So you still got to wear your mask, still got to get contact trace, still have all the restrictions and social distancing, and still take your vaccine.
So we saw you speaking earlier. What's the main message you're trying to get across today?
That the response to COVID is a lot worse than COVID, and COVID isn't about a virus, it's about increasing government control over our lives by using fear tactics to make people comply with giving up the rights and freedoms that millions of people fought and died for.
Didn't you know that? We fought in World War II so that we didn't have to wear masks during the global pandemic.
I knew that. My grandfather, who fought in World War II, often would take me on his knee and say, like, Ken, we fought this war so that you would never have to wear a mask. So don't you dare ever, ever, ever wear a mask.
It's weird because like Ezra's gone on rants recently about like people using stolen valor and shit like this. Like this to me is kind of stolen valor. Like I personally don't give too much into this valor idea because I don't think that a lot of the wars we've engaged in have been justified, or our participation in them have not been justified. But like this idea of like freedom, okay, yeah, sure, like even if you wanted to believe in this like vague notion that somehow the soldiers died for our charter and rights and freedoms, even though we didn't have a charter and rights and freedoms I think until the 70s, even if you want to say that, what they're doing, like pandemic guidelines and public health measures don't go against the charter. I mean, this is their argument, and here's the thing: is they might win on like little particular parts of certain laws. They might succeed. There's been a lot of like lawsuits that have been filed that haven't like fully worked their way through the courts yet. I mean, a lot of them get thrown out as just like bullshit at the start, but like maybe they will succeed, and some of these laws will be like changed or altered. But then, like they make it sound like just because like they haven't withstood a constitutional challenge yet, that therefore they're just automatically unconstitutional right now, which is not the case. Also, like the thing they never say, like fighting for our freedoms. Yes, the Charter and Rights of Freedoms, the first section of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms talks about how the Charter can be constrained. So we worked right into the law that, yes, you have these rights and freedoms, but there's going to be some cases where we will take those freedoms away if it's for reasons, and then it stipulates the reasons. Often, like, you can't impinge on the right entirely, or it has to be for a reasonable end, right? And so one of those reasonable ends might be a global pandemic. It might be a reasonable end. Like, I don't know. I really like the freedom to assemble, but maybe we should like consider not assembling during a global pandemic. Maybe that's okay.
There's also cases that say like you lose some freedoms when there's snowstorms and stuff, like for like weather events. Like there's like more to that. Like it's
No, when they close a road during a snowstorm, they've disturbed your right to mobility. Yeah.
Is Chris Sky gonna go protest Mother Nature? How dare you take away my right to go to leak?
Well, this
Same with construction sites.
Thank you.
You'll actually be able to walk through steamrollers, through holes in ground, through open pipes, anywhere I want to go, I am allowed to go.
We covered this on the show, I think, last week, where Sheila was talking about the pastor who's been arrested in Edmonton, and she mentions that like the church has been at capacity now since the pastor's been in prison, and she then says like they had to turn people away because of fire code, but then it's like. Why? And she says, and that's a legitimate law. She says that, and it's like if you think that a fire code is good, like in a sense, the fire code is saying you can freely assemble, but only to a certain amount of people, and then like now you have too many people freely assembled in this establishment. If having a fire code is perfectly fine, why aren't public health measures for a pandemic fine? Like it seems like they just realize that maybe like this fire thing's real, and part of that gets to the base of it, which is they don't believe this virus is real. That's the whole reason they're against it. But not thinking it's real doesn't really tell you, like, I'm sorry you feel that way, but you're not going to win in court based on your like imaginary belief that this virus isn't real. You could try, but you're just going to be like thrown out of the court. They're going to be like, what are you talking about? The virus is real.
Cool. And what do you say to the people that we spoke to? Some of the people across the street. They're saying you guys are all stupid. That a lot of them say mandatory mask outside is what they want. How do you respond to people who are against what you're standing for here today?
Well, the fact of the matter is, I just came from Netherlands. The Dutch are not stupid people. They're smart, they're independent, and they have balls. So guess what? They have no masks. They have 17 million people. If you go to a train station, maybe 1 out of 20 people is scared enough to wear a mask. Their bars are open. The girls are still working. You can go smoke a joint in their coffee shops. You can eat in their restaurants. They're open till 2 o'clock in the morning.
So now I'm curious, because this was in September. So now I'm going to search up the Netherlands here and look at their COVID-19 numbers and see what we get here.
Yeah, I remember this one.
Here we got here. So this is new cases. Oh, look. So this was in September. Oh, look at that. The numbers were already on the incline. And then, oh, look at that.
Oh, dear.
Deaths, too. No. Look at that. Oh.
Second wave. Ouch.
I have made a huge mistake.
And thank you for the resubscribe, Elron. What do you mean you didn't get a notification? It popped up on my...
okay. Don't you have to call me in the middle of the stream, but... I clicked resub. It didn't do the thing, and I was like, "Oh, it's not going to do it. I can make fun of Jody." And then I put like the notification, and it tied it to my message. So there you go. Egg on my face.
That's fair. I mean, I love like they've put this to bring it back to the video. They put this here being like, look, we've got Chris Guy making predictions back in September of 2020, and like already he's like, oh yeah, the Netherlands, they were perfectly fine. They're just walking around, breathing in each other's mouths. They're perfectly safe. And then they had like a second wave. So, congratulations, Chris Guy.
And they've had less than 200 people up to age 60 die. When I was also Amsterdam is one of the top 3 cities in all of Europe for international travel. 50 million visitors a year from all over the world. So I met people from all different countries when I was there. Guess what? The only other country that's stupid like Canada and wearing masks on their school children was Germany and Belgium. Belgium's EU and UN headquarters, and Germany's had millions of people protesting in the streets over it. Italy, no masks on the kids. France, only masks for 12 and older. Egypt, no mask on the kids. Iran, no mask on the kids. Sweden.
I mean, Sweden, France, and Iran had really big waves. So for him to be like, oh, they weren't even masking their kids. I'm sure if we look it up right now, like, France probably had a huge second wave as well. But they had it really bad at the beginning, too.
And Iran had, like, multiple quite bad waves, but they also shut down as best as they were able to, given, sanctions and so on and so forth, like the economic struggles that are part of living in Iran currently. But like, this isn't like, they've all had like very devastating multi-wave sort of like COVID epidemics. Like,
Yeah, Sweden was
You know.
always like always used as an example, and that's like the worst one as far as like the Netherlands region countries. Like,
Yeah, he used Italy as an example too, and Italy got absolutely bodied very early on. I'm not sure how bad its second wave was, but early on it was hit really hard.
Yeah, I mean, all these, like, I mean, everyone has been hit around the world. I mean, like, Sweden's been a different case, too, because I mean, it's, like, hard to compare these things apple to apple, given, like, the population of these countries and how dense they are compared to others and all this stuff. But it was, like, it's amazing for him to say this, and, like, the second wave was already just, like, starting to peak up when he was saying this. And even on Ezra's show, because Ezra was saying that this whole thing was over up until like end of October, early November, before he stopped saying that until like recently. Now he's saying it's over again, but like, they just keep preemptively saying it's over right before these waves hit.
it would have been nice to say it was over when or it'd been nice to have been over when they said the first time, but yeah.
Thanks, Nick, for the subscription. See, look, Elron, I'm doing my job.
Shut up. All right, I got it. I messed up. I accept that. It's an honest mistake.
Yeah. I forgive you.
No mask on the kids. Finland, no mask. Denmark, no mask. So what is Canada, why do we need them here where all these other countries are just fine without them? Answer, you don't. And when you have real world examples, that's the proof.
Real world examples.
You don't need a mask. A mask is about compliance because they know Canadians like to do what they're told. So if they tell you have to wear a mask, next they're going to tell you have to contact trace. Then they're going to tell you have to take the vaccine. And because Canadians like to do what they're told, they're hoping that everyone just complies. And then guess what, kids? Once you take your vaccine, like a dumb person that doesn't know any better.
So we'll wait for this like vaccine denialism that's going to kick in here. But like this whole notion of Canadians like doing what they're told, we have not been great with this pandemic. You know, like in the grand scheme of things. And I was just I went to the store today to purchase some of this alcohol, and there was some event in the parking lot. Now I happen not to go near it, but like it was people driving around showing off their cars, people without masks, all standing in close, like huddled together, watching this like car show in a parking lot at 7:00 at night for some reason. So it's like, I'm pretty sure like public health officials would go, you probably shouldn't do that right now. And yet people are doing it anyways. We had a spike in our city right now, and like I always hate to like make it about the students, because really the government has dropped the ball here completely, and I believe that if the students had better like communication, or at least we worked with the schools more, all this would be like fixed. But kids went out and partied last weekend because it was really warm, and so it was time to party, and we now have an uptick in cases because of that locally. So it's like no, Canadians don't do what they're told. You know, I mean, like, there's an extent to which maybe for, like, I mean, like, we didn't technically do what we were told when we marched for Black Lives Matter, right? So it's like, there's some cases and then there's cases, right? Like, we had 10,000 people in London all show up for Black Lives Matter, even though we weren't allowed to be in groups like that. But we all wore masks. We had hand sanitizers, like, we were really safe about it. And it was for a cause rather than partying. Which partying is nice, but black people not being shot by police, even better.
Jody, you got to remember though,
Better.
you got to fight for your right
To
party.
Shit.
I wish. Listen, if this went on for 5 years, maybe. But like, you know, right now it's been a year, and the light's at the end of the tunnel. We're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel now. So,
Yes.
you know, we didn't need to fight. Here's the thing: is fighting for your right to party could have been us listening to the regulations in the first place and shutting this shit down, or having a government that properly like locked us down and paid us to stay home and stuff like this, if we did all of that right at the beginning and shut this thing down, we could have nipped this thing in the bud and we could have all been partying right now. But instead, we have both a government that's ineffectual, and then we have doofuses like this that want to run around and spread a bunch of bullshit. I got my vaccine. You did get your vaccine, Nick, and I'm proud of you. I wish I could get my vaccine, but I don't even know what the fuck our government is doing right now, so that's great. I heard May.
I've heard May. Yeah, I've heard
Right.
June was the earliest I heard.
Early
June?
or late spring, early summer is what I've been kind of hearing.
I hate it. At
As
least
far as
Yep.
general public, sorry, yeah, like health workers and all that have been getting it too. But yeah, anything for general public's a bit later, obviously.
I feel, and this, like, it's weird to say this, but Biden has been doing a way better job than Justin Trudeau at vaccine rollouts.
Yeah, it's very strange.
I mean, might have something to do with the the U.S. has the capacity to make vaccines in their territory, and Canada
That helps.
There's
still
that,
doesn't.
but I think also Biden has utilized things like the military to do a proper rollout of this, and has like purposely got the industries involved to help coordinate them appropriately. I don't know what Trudeau has been doing. I've tried to follow it, and it just seemed like they were at the start of it, they were doing a good job and ordered a bunch, and it looked like it was going in the right direction. And then it's like it took forever just for like my grandma who's 90 to get a vaccine, which you would think she would be a top priority, but she just got it last week. So I don't know.
My friend who's a nurse, I think their second shot was delayed like an extra like 2 or 3 weeks or whatever. Like it was just maybe things are a bit messy and shitty.
Yeah, my friend got her first dose as a nurse a couple weeks ago. I should follow up with her. I should ask when the second dose is.
Yeah. It'd be nice just to get the single shot, but anyways, we'll see. Let's listen to Chris Guy's anti-vaccine bullshit.
They're going to tell you, sorry, the vaccine isn't as effective as we thought it was going to be. So now you still got to wear your mask, still got to get contact trace, still have all the restrictions and social distancing, and still take your vaccine. And then what did you get out of all of this? You got a whole year where you weren't allowed to travel, your business was closed, they took your rights and freedoms, they forced a vaccine on you, and what happened? The same amount of people died. Everything is the exact same, and now they're going to put you back on lockdown and bring it all the way till July of next year so they can do the same thing again. Bring you from July, August, and September, getting you off lockdown, but just to bring you back on lockdown again. If you idiots haven't figured it out yet, it's a perpetual cycle that you never get out of, and it's a way to take your rights, your freedoms, close your business, take your wealth. Why? So you become dependent on government.
So you become dependent on government.
Figured it out, man. He's figured it out.
Yeah.
I will say, as a member of the vaccinated elite who is fully vaccinated,
Congratulations.
pretty nice, bro. I gotta say, I'm liking these CDC recommendations that I don't have to wear a mask in restaurants anymore. It's quite nice, and I didn't have to die, which is also pretty good. Like, what is this? Why are we doing this?
Well,
I understand this was like several months ago, but it's like people are dying and you're still acting like this. What a fucking prick.
Well, like it's the idea of like, I mean, what he's gonna say is all those second wave charts that I showed is like they never really happened, or something along those lines, right? Because like what he's saying is that like they're gonna get you in the cycle, right? But then it's like the cycle matters because COVID cases were increasing, right? So that's the only reason why we had another lockdown, because we had a second wave. And if there's going to be a third wave, we're going to need another like lockdown. That's how this works.
Yeah, it's a case of like hitting the brakes and hitting the gas, hitting the brakes, hitting the gas. Like that's the cycle that he's not understanding by the looks of it.
Well, because like it has to go to the level that there's not even a virus to begin with. That what he's suggesting is the conspiracy is there's absolutely no virus, and that the government is tweaking the numbers so that it looks like it's going up, only to shut it back down again. Like, you know what I mean? It's like it's just to control you, to keep you a sheeple.
Fake deaths or whatever. I also back up a tick too. He mentioned something about the vaccine deaths in that clip.
Oh, he did? I missed it. I was reading something
I
that
might
Tony
have
said.
misheard, but I remember one argument he or some people have been saying is like vaccine deaths will be higher than the virus itself, which is like, please present that proof for one.
Yeah.
And also, if that's the case, well then, okay, yeah, no.
Yeah. Well, what they'll do is they'll cherry pick. I mean, this is the same thing the vaccine anti-vaxxers did for like ever, which is they'll find one case where someone had a reaction after they got a vaccine and then attribute it to the vaccine. But it's like, just because someone got a vaccine and then something happened didn't mean that A caused B, right?
Yeah, it's a correlation causation thing. And it reminds me of the nurse that passed out, and they made hay out of that story. It's like, she's like, I'm not dead, for one, because people were saying that she was dead. And it's also like, they have this thing that makes me faint time to time from like certain amounts of pain. It's like, no, that's not real. It's like, oh, all right, whatever.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's all, and they'll say it's covered up. I mean, like, this is just conspiracy bullshit. And we'll get into Chris Guy's conspiracism in a bit, because it's pretty bad. What Tony did send me something very special, so.
I'm pausing again too, but like, it's a conspiracy that the governments are really good at managing these things, but also they're horrible at rolling out the vaccines for the public. So yay, they're competent.
I know, it's like, it's either they're incompetent, like, because at least for Ezra's audience, Ezra keeps on talking about how the vaccine rollout is government incompetence. Yet what Chris Guy is promoting here is the government is so competent, that they're manipulating some grand conspiracy to get you hooked on the masks and the vaccines and like, yeah.
During my line of work, getting hooked on masks is probably a good thing.
Getting hooked on masks. I'm so addicted to masks right now.
If you're independent, the government works for you like it's supposed to. If you depend on the government to give you a paycheck to feed your family every month because they closed your business on you, now the government doesn't work for you, the government rules you. So instead of a middle class, we have the government, upper class, and the lower class dependents that rely on the government to survive. In other words, we have a slave class. And that's what they're trying to do. It's that simple.
Slave class. Okay.
So he's saying a social welfare system is slavery. That's what he's saying. Because God forbid, like, the government provide, like, so the government gives you money. You now have, like, a universal basic income of some kind. How does the government own you? Like, what? Because you're still free to spend that money wherever you want to. It's not like the government has added stipulations to it saying, like, you got the CERB, now you can only purchase these things, right?
You can only buy Fudgios and Cheetos, and we will know if you do anything else.
It's like you'll be able, like, if anything, you'll be able to spend that money at small businesses if you wanted to. You know, it's like, it's called stimulating the economy for a reason. Like, Jesus Christ.
I don't want to know what he thinks about welfare checks and abusers and all that stuff, because it's likely not a fun road to go on.
No.
I can make some guesses, but I won't.
No, this guy comes from money. I guess, like, his dad owns a home building company?
Real estate or something.
No.
All right, thanks a lot, Chris.
Why didn't the cops shut it down today?
Cops didn't shut it down because they don't have the power to shut it down. I'm on quarantine. I was just in Ireland speaking to 15,000 people. They grabbed me before I could even get out of the car and said, "You're not allowed to be here. Get out of here." La, la, la. I said, "What are you going to do? Fine me? Arrest me? Go for it. Do it right in front of everybody so I can challenge it, make it public, challenge it with all the different charter of rights and freedoms that you're breaking under these emergency laws that you do not have demonstrable justification to uphold, and then I will win. Everybody will know your laws are bullshit, and this whole charade collapses." Newsflash.
It's just funnier watching this in retrospect.
Quarantine. You know how many got fines? 0. It's not because they're cutting them a break. It's because they don't have the power to do it. Just like they don't have the power to shut down your business or give you a $100,000 fine if you stay open. It's all lies. It's all smoke and mirrors, and none of it will hold up in court. And I'm proof. They grabbed me. I'm here. I'm speaking to you. I'm speaking on the van. I'm not hiding from anyone. You want me to take you and go talk to the police right now? I will.
So this, when I first watched this and I thought it was current, I was like, what are you talking about? You've been arrested. Now that I know that it's in the past and it's been labeled pandemic predictions from Chris Sky, it's like, you got arrested, bro.
Night is nice.
And he's been fined like a whole bunch of times. That, like, there was the pastor and like tons of people have been arrested now for doing shit like Chris Sky is doing.
Just a shout out to Andrew, whatever Andrew says there, for just being like clearly channeling every journalistic element you can as an interviewer, just like blankly stare past your subject as you interview them.
At least.
So I wanted to show this clip first, and then Tony sent me some things in the DMs, but I had mentioned on the podcast last week that Chris Guy has dabbled into some anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. And so this is the context of this clip. This guy here is a part of something called the Plaid Army or something. I don't know that much about them. But they themselves are very anti-Semitic. And as you can tell here, the way he's like leading the questions, definitely anti-Semitic. But let's see how Chris Guy handles it, which I would argue is not good.
Ridiculed and attacked for not wanting to wear one. But entire other countries, men, women, and children, don't have to wear them, and they're just fine.
At that point, you have to start to realize that there's something else going on here.
Yeah, it's called control of the
You have to admit it. And who's in control right now?
The government.
Who controls the government right now? We don't have to answer that if you don't want to, but like...
We got the globalists.
Don't have to answer that.
Well, I mean, but he does. I mean, like, because they joke, right? They laugh because they, like, Chris Guy knows what he's talking about, because they have a chuckle, and then he goes immediately to the globalists, and then he says George Soros next.
Financial interests in charge of the government.
I think Canada's been sold out to anybody.
Anyone with...
Oh, this clip ends. But he does say George Soros. So he goes globalists and George Soros, right? Right after that. So you got to think, like, he knows what's up. And so Tony sent me this. Let's pull it up here.
What was that dude's name that he was talking to, Chris Guy there, the guy on the left?
Derek Rance.
Yeah,
okay.
if you know more about him, Viking, you can let us know. I don't know that much about them. I do know they're anti-Semitic, obviously.
You know, the better.
What was that? Sorry.
The less you know about them, the better. Is probably the best line to take.
Yeah. Either way, it just
Sorry.
It's more of just the fact of again. So here's another one. It's like best video. Guys interview all different types of Jewish people. What do they all have in common? The Goyim will be our slaves, was the response from all of them. Enough said. And then the YouTube video is called All People Will Be Slaves of the Jews. And so this is what Chris Sky shared back in November 2017. So let's recount what show is Chris Sky going on frequently. In fact, Ezra praised him recently on the podcast. David Menzies called him he's the steak with the sizzle.
No.
And Ezra, again, is Jewish. Why are you doing this, Ezra? Why are you always doing this?
We know he hasn't had a problem with hosting anti-Semitic white nationalists in the past.
Yeah. Well, until they say it really loud.
Yeah.
I mean, but like I don't know. So that Chris Sky one was from 2017. That was pretty loud. I mean, even in the one that was recent from the Plaid Army clip, like, that's... When you're chuckling at, like, we know who's really, really in control of government, right, guys? Globalists, right?
Might be putting down for this one, but how much does he look into his guests and all that?
Yeah.
Let alone his hosts.
Well,
I was about to suggest that perhaps the vetting process at Rebel News is basically just, oh, you said something we agree with right now, you're on. No matter who cares about what you said 2, 3, 4 years ago.
I mean, I think they skirt by on like not knowing, but like not caring, but like they can play the game that they didn't know just in case they need to get rid of these people.
Yeah, they can.
Because I mean, like they hosted Faith Goldie for like ever, even when she produced videos on Rebel News talking about white genocide, and they just
take the plausible. Oh, sorry.
No, you can go on. Say what you can say.
They'll take the stance of plausible deniability up until it gets shoved in their face about at least a dozen times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Elron. Go ahead.
No, you first, because you're on topic.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, Faith Goldie and Gavin McInnes are the two best, in big quotation mark, examples of him hosting these kinds of people and not seeming to care until it became impossible to ignore, and at that point they were both let go.
And Ezra, Tony mentioned in the chat about Ezra playing into George Soros conspiracy theories. Ezra still plays into George Soros conspiracy theories. He does it all the time. Even his other Jewish guest that he has on almost every week, Joel Pollack, also uses the George Soros bullshit. And so, but like they get away with it as like, it's the same thing with Ben Shapiro. They play this game of like who are real Jews and who aren't, which is kind of creepy to get into in the first place.
Antisemitic, yeah.
Yeah. But it's the idea of like you have to be this way as a Jewish person and believe these things. So since George Soros doesn't believe those things, not really a Jew. But we will move on. Elron, you had something to say first. But
listen, I came in late. I fully own that. But who the fuck is Chris Sky?
So I don't. So
who is this guy? What does he do? Listen, I'm on his Instagram right now. I'm trying to figure out what this man does. Like, what does he do?
He was born into money.
Steroids.
He's rich. Yeah, he's a rich guy.
His dad owns a construction company or something like that, or home building thing. So basically what happened, the only reason I came to know about him is because back in, I want to say it was April, he started showing up to anti-mask protests in Toronto. That's the only reason people really know about him. And then there's like a photo of him because like the police were being nice to him at first and taking photos of him while he was like out there. And then he started bringing in like, he brings in like, I wonder if I could like, it's not worth like digging it up, but like some of the earlier anti-mask protests that they showed up to, he would come with like women from his like, I guess he owns a gym or something like this, and they would all like strut around the anti-mask protests in like bikinis in like front of like Queen's Park,
okay.
Which is like it's. Like, to me, it's like I don't care, wear a bikini out in public. Like, but it was just weird that like he was like making it like, look, anti-masks or mask people are sexy or something. Like, it was just a weird sell. And then like, then Rebel started covering it, and it kind of took off.
So that's this person's claim to fame. His father gave him money, and now he's
showed up.
Basically, he's just here. So this man just exists. That's his purpose in life. Okay.
And we've seen him before because I think we covered when David Menzies. Or no, it was Ezra there too? It was the one where they were just walking and starting to harass businesses as they walked down the street. Yeah. And like he walked into a store and the manager's like, "Can you stay away from it?" He's like, "What? Can I breathe on you?" Yeah, they're assholes.
Hello, my rebels. Hello, my rebels. I'm a good boy. I'm a weirdo.